Saleo will get very bad very fast.
Even this ceasefire was too much to ask for.
I'm stuck in this stupid barge. You guys are shooting at me from shore.
Hello and welcome back to Frank's Penance. After a fairly long hiatus, we're finally back in Monte, Saleo, the location of the headquarters of both the APR and the UFLL. Frank has just arrived and I'm sneaking in to come and find myself a new mission. You might remember in the last episode, all I did was side missions as we advanced Frank's backstory. Now it's finally time to begin an actual mission. I decided I would try and find the UFLL headquarters because we have been doing quite a lot of work with the APR recently, and the UFLL are generally slightly more aligned with Frank's principles. They are fighting in defense of their lands. The APR are actually here from a foreign nation and are attempting to take over the area. So the UFLL have a slight moral high ground in the war. So we're going to find out if they have any work for us today, moving into their headquarters as usual, giving up all of our weapons. I'll be interested to see what sort of headquarters they have. I believe this area is supposed to be more rich and developed than the north, so let's have a look inside. Certainly looks a little bit nicer, less covered in spam posters. They've even got a very nice bar in here actually. Let's see what these guys have to say.
Too bad to have behind like that.
Nobody asked you. There's still plenty of men in country. They'll work with me for sure. They need the money.
They'd work for me, you mean?
As long as you pay, Adi. God knows you've got the work.
That's right, these civilians are a problem. We're going to get them under control. I don't like the way things are going. It's no longer safe. Here's a dog hungry for a bone. Maybe Adim Bandwe can give you what you're looking for.
You still sick? Not gonna waste my time on a sick man. Malaria situation's out of control. Turns out the APR's got a lock on some sort of remedy.
A plant that grows here, Artemisia, a very potent plant. Our medicine men know exactly how to use it.
Yeah, anyway, as I was saying, the APR's got a system for drying out the plant, turning it into medicine. They've got these kilns, see, up in the Dogon Cliff Village. We'd like you to smash these kilns into bits.
Then okay, nobody gets medicine. This is Tambosa's fault. He is to blame with his selfishness and favoritism. If the APR want to know where their medicine has gone, they need only to look at their leader.
Stones, uncut. Just so we're clear. Go to the Dogon Cliff Dwellings and destroy the kilns.
So the mission essentially boils down to destroying equipment being used for the good of the people. A mission that Frank doesn't particularly feel like going on right now. So we're going to leave those guys hanging. We're going to simply walk away from the deal and head out to see whether the APR have anything better instead. Usually the APR tend to give you the more morally questionable missions. But in this particular case, even though Frank does support the UFLL a little bit more, I don't think he can really accept doing this activity with no particular justification other than leveling the playing field to the people's disadvantage. So we're going to head over to this newspaper building where the APR are held out. This is another ceasefire zone, by the way, so I can't fire, and the two factions are mixing freely for now. The violence of the last 2 episodes ago has now ended. The brief break to the ceasefire that we almost got killed in has disappeared. So we go inside the APR headquarters. This one looks a little bit more shabby. You can see it's still got the newspaper printing presses, which I'm sure the APR were using to their advantage. So let's head on upstairs and see what's going on in here.
He gave them away. That's ridiculous. He's an arms dealer. He has to sell the weapons to leave. And now he's gone. He's up to something, I'm telling you. Enough. I want you to focus on the real problem at hand. The people. They are no longer listening to us, defying our orders. They are the threat to Greaves, not this jackal person. Come in. You know Greaves. I am Tambosa, national leader of the APR.
Right, good. We'd be looking for someone like you. There's a serious morphine shortage in this country. The stuff just can't be found. People get desperate when it's time for surgery. They'll use anything to dull the pain. Whiskey, aerosol fumes. Saw a man drink paints in the winter. This shortage helps us, frankly. Less surgeries, less soldiers surviving. The UFLL has a small quantity of nitrous oxide. We'd like you to destroy it. The gas tanks are an old dental clinic west of Port Saleo. The tanks are stacked high as your chest on a flatbed truck. They're right out there for everyone to see. A stationary target, one that won't fight back. Think you can handle that?
Mr. Greaves here has learned to accept the nature of our work. We must always look for the advantage. So,
We'll pay in stone, same as always. Just so we're clear, go to the dental clinic and take out those nitrous tanks. Are we good? It's an ugly world and it's getting worse by the minute.
So this mission is actually really similar to the one the UFL offered. Instead, this time, we're taking out supplies that are supposedly intended for military purposes. That is the only thing that appears to make it slightly more acceptable as a thing for Frank to be doing. And of course, we have little choice at this stage, so we're going to go ahead with it. We need to head to some sort of dentist to take out their supply of nitrous oxide. Looks like it's not too far away on the map. I can reach it both by river and road. As I was considering where to go, I got a call. Let's see who it is.
It's Xiangyong. Your meeting is over. I'm west of you, close by post office, okay?
So it's Xiangyong, the guy who helped us smuggle arms into Port Saleo a couple of episodes back. We don't really know much about him, but it seems he has something for us to do that is part of this mission, and in fact he is located very near to the objective, so it's quite convenient for me to go and see what he wants anyway. So I'm going to head over there and see what he wants first, and then we'll continue on our way. As the victim convoy approached, we readied ourselves and the nerves began shooting. Two guys wandered out into the road and proceeded to shout at the wall of advancing metal with their guns shouldered. Conveniently enough, the wall's brakes squealed the convoy to a halt. 3 trucks in all, with about 6 guys visible at first. I noticed 2 of our guys across the road getting a message from Ko on the radio, then taking cover. Ko had guessed from the look of these guys that they felt like a fight, and he was right. The 2 guys in the first truck started surrendering, but the rest bolted for the tree lines beside the road and started blind firing in our general direction. Within seconds, a chain of bullets tore up the trucks, the road and the cover as Ko unloaded on the scene with his LMG. The former truck occupants quickly saw that this was more than an amateur holdup and scattered into the adjoining fields, running without looking back. Our 2 guys on the road ran too, freaked by how close Ko's shots were landing. But I, being me, found myself charging forwards. I think I wanted to get my slice of the battle before it fizzled away. I noticed that the 3rd truck on the convoy was reversing. One cheeky driver had got back in and decided to try his rotten luck on a vehicular escape. Seeing a chance to please my watching master, I charged him, barely even noticing that he was leaning out of the window and aiming a handgun right at me. The first bullet was so wide I didn't even react. The second bullet was so close that I felt its warmth down the side of my head. The sensible part of my brain forced me to the ground, where I squeezed the trigger on my own weapon, destroying the driver in a mess of blood and broken glass. Then my heart continued beating, and I felt the terror of nearly dying for nothing consume me. I scrambled on the ground to get underneath the second truck as more of Ko's bullets thudded into the nearby ground. For about 30 seconds I was lost in a world where breathing was just about all I could think about. Cowering under that truck, lying in a pool of my own curses, I tried to justify my own stupidity to an increasingly skeptical sense of self. By the time I managed to bury the issue and resume some form of regular control over myself, Ko and the guys from across the road were wandering around the truck, remarking on how successful all that was. One of them was kind enough to ask the others where I was. Ko said to him that he saw me get killed. I decided to take the dramatic option of rolling out from under the truck and coughing on the dirt I sucked into my hyperactive lungs on the way. Considering the main reason I had just nearly impaled myself on some nobody's bullet was to impress Ko, you can imagine that I was a little pissed that he wrote me off as dead so easily. He wasn't that moved to see me alive either, just laughed at his mistake and carried on climbing into the back of the truck. Shortly after confirming that these trucks actually did contain weapons, which luckily they did, I was offered a minor reward for my bravery in the form of not having to drive the truck that was covered in human remains and shards of windscreen. We took the trucks round to where we'd hidden our own vehicles and did a full stock take of the loot. Well, I just sat there and watched actually. No one forced me to help. Maybe I had earned enough respect from the others to gain a little independence, or maybe Ko didn't notice. Good news either way. We divided the spoils up between our own vehicles and started heading back to Chechnya without a moment's rest. This time I was driving the truck I had been in previously, and Ko was in the next one, so I was leading the pack alone. Maybe I really had been given a field promotion. But the thing with me being alone is that it tends to make me start having voices in my head, and they rarely have anything good to say. This time it was telling me to get the hell out of there. I was still spooked. It reminded me of how I felt when I first got too deep in the IRA, like a reaction to the plunge into a life I knew wasn't going to go well. But they call it too deep for a reason. There was nothing I could do but keep my foot down and roll along that horrifyingly boring road back east. It took until the evening of the next day to get back to the selling point, but this time the town was deserted. A few local stragglers told us that the population had bunkered down here, but another nearby town still needed the weapons. It was getting dark and my truck only had one working headlight, which made life difficult when there wasn't much difference between the road and the wilderness. But after travelling just a few miles in an hour, we found ourselves in the midst of another weapons buying frenzy. Another dealer was just on the way out, so the scrappy seconds were all we could get. Mostly the less warlike civilians picking up a gun just because they felt like they needed it. They weren't willing to pay as much, but hey, the profit margin on stolen goods is 100%, so I don't think we could really complain. That's how Ko saw it anyway. Throughout the sale, Ko was talking to one of the locals. When we finished and reported back to him, he told us to make for a local hotel and wait there until he showed up. Of course, he took the money for himself. Well, it seemed like we were being screwed over pretty heavily to me, but everyone else went along with it, and I guess I got swept in too. It was too dark to see Ko's face, but believe it or not, he actually didn't run off with the money. He was genuinely going to research our next move. So I've made it to where Xiangyong is hiding out. Let's head inside this building and see what he has to say for himself.
Hey, finally have something to eat. Post office. West of here, package inside. Take it. It is part that with fixed truck, don't blow it up, okay? That's crazy talk. Drive it to garage instead. I work there. Hate that job. We use truck to blow up garage. Pretty cool. But hey, don't be crazy when you drive in. You cause trouble too soon, I'll leave you behind, okay?
So at first I thought Xiangyong was offering the chance to not destroy all of the nitrous oxide and instead do something else with it, but actually he just wants us to destroy it whilst it's at his workplace so he can blow the place up and quit the job. Well, I guess if we're going to destroy it anyway, we might as well do this guy a favour and do that. So first we have to go to a local post office where apparently they're holding the spare parts we need to fix up this truck. We're going to steal them from the post office and then attempt to repair the truck rather than blowing up. This of course means we're probably going to have to kill pretty much anyone guarding the truck because we need to completely clear the area out to make sure we can repair it without being killed ourselves. But I guess that's okay, there's probably not going to be too many of them anyway. So first I needed to drive over to the post office. Luckily it turned out it was actually right next to where Xiangyong was hiding out, which is pretty convenient. I noticed that I could go over this hill to my right rather than driving in via the road, thinking that this could possibly give me an opportunity to utilise this new sniper rifle I've been using recently to take out some of the enemies before I go in. Obviously in this particular scenario I don't really need to fight the enemies, I just need to take something from inside the building in the centre, but it seems pretty unlikely I'm going to be able to get in without at least one of these guys noticing, or let alone get out again. So I decided it's best to try and engage them at range, kill as many of them as I could, and then go in to steal it and kill anyone who stops me. I was looking for snipers in the background there, luckily I didn't seem to notice any. I tried to take out this first guy, but an invisible barrier beside the tree I'm taking cover behind stopped the bullet. Managed to take him as he runs, but now I've alerted everyone. The second guy I was going to kill got away. Spot a third guy in the distance, but I can't hit him, he's too far away and he's moving. Another guy seems to be pushing some barrels around in the background there, managed to miss him as well. Now I heard some engines nearby. I thought someone was driving up towards me. Here they are. I was going to take them out with my rocket launcher, but I haven't reloaded it after the last time I used it, so I can't do that. The driver's gotten out and is now bombarding me with an assault rifle. He's too close, I decided to take him out with my pistol, and he goes down straight away. It didn't look like anyone else was following him up. I decided to go to his car and use it as cover, see if I could get any new lines of sight on the enemy. I noticed a guy walking around down there. I could have shot that fuel tank if I was feeling particularly venomous, but I decided not to. There's a few more guys wandering around on this little porch area to the building. They don't really seem to know where I am. They're just looking for me, even though I've been firing at them from this direction for ages, and at least one of them seemed to know I was up here. But still, it's good news. I decide it's time to advance down, seeing that no one else is available to shoot from this vantage point. So I rush in, someone's firing at me, I take out behind this tree, the enemy destroy their own fuel dump, which I guess is a good thing because that clears up more line of sight for me. Over the top of it, I notice a cheeky head and take it out, rush through the fire, causing some damage to myself actually, should have been more careful there. And finally I get to the point where I can get inside the building and start looking for this box. There's a whole bunch of boxes in here, but one of them's flashing near the end of the room. Unfortunately I'm being flanked by these guys who I can't manage to hit, some extremely inaccurate pistol fire there. In my defense, I was filming this very early on a cold autumn morning. My hand was too cold to aim. and now the pistol jams as another guy closes in to engage in close combat. Luckily he doesn't move any closer, he stays back there, gives me a chance to unjam at reload, kill the second guy who was trying to blow up the whole room, but I got out in time. A third guy appears behind him, we quickly dispatch him. Finally it looks like we've cleared out this room. I decide I'm going to take the package now. Here it is, flashing away some mysterious part that Xiangyong thinks is going to fix up this truck. Hopefully I'll know how when I get there. That's him on the phone now.
As soon as you got package, you go fix truck.
Just a little reminder, it seems he's a little bit pushy about this. So now I just have to head up to the dentist, which isn't too far away, where the truck is, and get in there, fix it up using this part, and hopefully get out with the truck alive. We had all thought that the plan was to go back to Sevastopol and start buying up more weapons, but Ko was sniffing out a more profitable avenue from the hints the locals were coughing up. But before any of that could come to light, I found myself strewn out on a half-comfy bed in what passed for a hotel in rural Chechnya. The other guys were worried, sensibly so, that Ko didn't have any plans to link up with the rest of our crew, who supposedly were going to meet us back at the docks. After a while, I joined their discussion by asking them what their plan was. They didn't really understand, which made me second guess what was going on. I had assumed what was going on here was that Ko was deliberately giving us a chance to disappear before he returned, an honourable gesture, a free chance to leave the crew that was clearly tanking anyway. But the loyalty of the other guys seemed pretty strong, which in turn made me feel a little guilty for planning to bolt with my secretly pilfered share of the money. One of the crew told me that the life they were living was the only one they knew, and that leaving it was too hard to even think about. It was the perfect time to whip out my gradually evolving story of how I left Ireland, a parable of how you can start a new life. Left out the part where my new life was actually worse, but I'm sure most of them would have worked that out from my sleep-deprived eyes and my jacket half made of dirt. I'm now pretty close to the dentist, approaching via a little back road that seems to go up behind the main section. I wondered if I could sneak in here and get straight to the truck, which is actually right in front of me according to my map, but a guard was walking towards me. He looked suspicious, as if he'd seen me walk up just then, but I don't know if he did. I decided to wait around. You can see on the map here the building is really close to me, so I might be able to even just sneak in and take this truck if I can repair it without being noticed. But in order to have a chance at that, I first need to take out this guard silently. The only way I can do that is using my knife. He's now pretty close. It looked like he was about to round the corner. I was ready to shoot him if he did, because if he saw me, it would probably be pretty deadly to try and close to knife range. But he didn't come round the rock. It suggested to me he'd just stopped and turned back. I decided to try and take a sneaky peek and managed to get a little bit of a visual on him walking away. So for whatever reason, he satisfied his own desire to come over here and walked back. So now I took a very risky move. I decided to sneak up behind him, gambling that no one else would be standing around to see me do this. Luckily it seemed to work. I moved up and managed to get him with my machete. Unfortunately, he screams as he goes down, and suddenly I hear voices. They know I'm here now. None of them can actually see me at first, but then I start hearing gunshots coming in my general direction from pretty much everywhere. I encountered the first guy and gunned him down. I don't know where the rest of them are. I didn't get any visuals on them. This guy's right in front of me. I waste a whole bunch of bullets firing inaccurately, but managed to take him down. Someone's firing at me from behind me, but I can't see them because of that bush in the way. They can of course see me though, because the AI can see right through vegetation. It's something that's quite handy for them, but inconvenient for me. It seems that being behind this building is okay cover, except for the guy who's right in front of me, who I could barely see in the darkness there. He got a hit on me that almost killed me entirely. Luckily I can get back up to full health using a Surette, because it wasn't quite enough to get me down to my last bar. I decided to start outflanking anyone who's currently firing at the position I was in. They all seem to come out the woodwork as I move. I blow that barrel to cause a vague distraction and then start moving up again on the flank of that position, trying to get around all these little palisades that seem to have been set up. I noticed right now that there's a sniper in the top right hand corner of the screen who's firing at me. I needed to get back and use my own sniper rifle to take him out. Luckily we have a little bit of a sniping duel. I think we might have shot each other there, but his shot didn't really do much damage. Mine of course destroyed him entirely, a nice headshot, so he is now down. I have no idea who's left, but I'm going to advance cautiously. I need to get back towards where I came in to get back towards the truck. I've effectively gunned my way over to the regular road entrance, and now I'm going to gun my way back. So my sneaky plan of going around the back wasn't really for anything. I thought this might have been the truck with the hut, sorry, with the truck in it, but it wasn't. It's the next one. I'm still cautious about there being more enemies, and there was just one hiding right next to the truck. I can again barely see him in the darkness here. Managed to take him out, losing half my health in the process though. You can see all of the nitrous oxide in the back here, so that confirms this is the truck everyone's been talking about, and it does look pretty busted up. I'm going to start repairing it. Turns out it doesn't really need any spare parts at all. I can just do the classic wrenching a mysterious bolt on the engine to fix it up. Someone's firing at me though. I have to stop short and take out this guy. Seems to have been a survivor who decided to keep hunting me down, even though the rest of his crew were killed by me. Perhaps a very brave individual. Luckily I had finished repairing the truck, so now I can actually just get into it and start driving away. I have no idea if there are any more enemies who are going to shoot me as I go, but I'm pretty much just going to risk it. Let's see what Xiangyong has to say.
Okay, I'm at garage. Come by anytime.
More just confirming of the details of the mission. So now I need to take this to his garage, which is up the road. I am going to have to go through a few checkpoints. There was actually two routes. I noticed I could drive there by road, or I could drive on the railway track, but I think the railway track has lots of checkpoints on it. So I decided to go by road, but of course the road isn't exactly any more friendly. It's going to have checkpoints of its own. And immediately outside this dental area there is a checkpoint on the road right in front of me. I knew that I needed to take out the guys in the checkpoint without my vehicle getting in danger. What I should have done is get out now, but actually I drive a little bit closer just to see if there's actually any enemies there. When I notice that there definitely are enemies there, in fact they start firing at me far too late. I get out the truck, but then I realise I have absolutely no cover. My weapon jams at a very inconvenient moment. I managed to unjam it so I can take out this guy who's assaulting me, but I can't hit him because he's too close to fire it with a sniper rifle. I switch to pistol, and the enemy comes up with a truck firing a machine gun at me. I'm almost out of health, managed to get back to full. The pistol jams as well. I switch to rocket launcher. Accidentally switch to the map because it's the button next to the rocket launcher on the keyboard. I fire a shot, it kills a guy and takes out a vehicle, but the back blast does enough damage to me that I am then immediately killed by some enemy gunfire. Luckily, we have Marty Alencar on the scene. He was apparently following us and is able to rescue Frank from the massive fire that breaks out in the wake of that rocket launcher attack. The enemy hopefully were killed by it as well, and we don't really know at this stage. So he starts dragging me somewhere. I have no idea where he's going, and more importantly, I have no idea what's happening to the truck. The truck did take a fair few bullets, but I think it's still alive as far as I know, so I might be able to get back to it and drive on to the garage. So we set up somewhere nearby behind these buildings. I'm going to pull a few bullets out of my leg, just for good measure. I'm really running low on health threats. I've got 2 left. I'm going to use 1 right now to get back to full health, so I'm getting dangerously close to the edge. So now the question is, are there more enemies around? Marty said that there were, but we're not coming under fire. Suddenly Xiangyong gives me a call.
Hey, what you trying to do, man? You're in big trouble. I'm getting out of here.
So suddenly the mission is completed. Xiangyong isn't happy. It seems that the truck must have been destroyed, because that was the condition for the mission being completed. So it was destroyed before I reached the garage, which of course has pissed off Xiangyong. Inconvenient, but at least I'm still alive. Marty was firing at someone, so I'm pretty sure there is 1 enemy left. I was just checking on the map to see if there were any more objectives to make sure the mission really was complete, because actually at this stage I wasn't sure how the truck could have been destroyed. It seemed like it must not have been, because I've been dragged away from the scene. But in retrospect, the fact that the entire area was on fire would have been enough to destroy the truck, especially if it had all these flammable materials sitting in the back. So I decided to move up and try and look for it once I realised where I was. I'm just to the south of that guard checkpoint, which I was previously approaching from the east. So I thought I could go and actually look for the truck to confirm whether it has been destroyed. It looks like we have killed all the enemies in the area, but then I hear some gunfire behind me. I was a bit worried. I can see the enemy there. I was worried that Marty wouldn't be able to take him on and Marty would get himself killed, which would be very inconvenient considering he came out here to rescue me. I wanted to go and check, but I realised that since I wasn't hearing any more gunfire after the first burst, the most likely scenario was that Marty had just popped out and fired a burst into that enemy's face, and he's probably gone, so I decided I didn't actually need to check. So now I'm going to move up the road towards the east, looking for the truck, also looking for health, because I really need some more Surrettes. Found these explosives, that's no good to me at the moment. See, I can't actually see the truck on the road at the moment, which I thought I thought at first the truck had just disappeared for some reason, and that's why I'd failed the mission. It was some sort of glitch involving the fact I was rescued next to it. But as I approach the scene, we see the truth. Here's the truck, upside down, blackened by a former explosion, and you can see some of the grass on the right hand side is also blackened by fire. So it does seem that a fire was the most likely culprit here, which of course means it was probably my fault that the truck got set on fire, since I was firing that rocket launcher which started all of those blazes, and it was also my fault for driving the truck so close to somewhere I was about to fight, and I guess it's also the fault of my weapons for jamming up on me at short notice. Overall, a pretty unfortunate series of events that Xiangyong is the loser from, because he's going to still have to keep his job, but the actual mission has been completed, my reputation with the faction remains untarnished, and of course we heard before the mission that these guys in the APR are actually interacting with the Jackal, or at least they know something about him. They mentioned that he was providing weapons for free, which is an interesting development. It seems the Jackal isn't even doing this whole weapons dealing thing for profit, he just wants the weapons to be here. Interesting, perhaps linking up with some formerly noted ideas about his personal philosophy, that he just wants there to be a war here to attract all of the warlike individuals in the world into one place. Anyway, Frank now has nothing much to do but head back to Monte Saleo and see if there's anything else on the table for him to sort out. They didn't really buy the moral of my tale. One of them saw through my lies and asked me if I wanted to go back home. I couldn't think straight enough to lie, so I let the silence reveal my hypocrisy. The asker of the dark question smiled knowingly. He knew I was bullshitting. I probably wasn't the first fool giving them patronizing advice like that. He spoke to everyone, saying that running away from something you know just makes you want to go back. Each time you do it, the regret grows. Better to stick with the crew and see what our Messiah Co brings back from his sleuthing. I told him he was right and hit the hay ASAP. My short stint of feeling like a hero ended, and I was back to being Frank the wandering idiot, stuck in a rundown hotel, one phone call away from being blown down by artillery, with a bunch of stinking criminals whose only hope was to steal and deal enough shit to stay alive. Whatever I was in Ireland, I was something much crappier now. But at least I got to sleep in a bed rather than a sweaty truck cab. Probably slept for 12 hours that night, waking up to see my roommates had gone. Their still present stuff told me they hadn't left me high and dry, but I wouldn't have blamed them for a second if they had, because I was still considering doing the same thing to them. As I struggled to order some food downstairs, I gathered that Co had come into the hotel that night and paid for us all to stay another night. So either he really was coming back tomorrow, or he just wanted a day's head start for his escape. Whatever the case, I was going to take the lazy option and have faith in him, which meant spending a day as a tourist in a town busily barricading the roads and entrenching their sorry citizens into a home they were about to see destroyed. 2 stars would not visit again. It was a bright day, making the facadeless concrete buildings seem a little less grey. The cars came and went, and people walked the roads in small groups, not shy about exposing their military-grade weapons. There was an atmosphere of a military base with so much seemingly related activity going on, but I think what I was seeing was just the result of everyone slowly panicking and being forced to make the same decision as me. To up sticks and find a new life, or to dodge any regret that may bring and see where the current ride goes. Clearly staying put was the easier choice. I didn't see anyone getting out of there. So I pretty much spent the day looking awkward on street corners and checking out a few local ruins from the area's old tribal days, some of which had signs in English to read. In a parallel universe, this place really could have been a tourist resort. After a long day making my sunburn worse and not seeing any of the crew, I went back to the semi-hotel where I was delighted to learn a bar had opened, probably just for us. Some of the crew were in there, but I felt like sitting alone at the bar. After my first drink, which I happily remember was free, I noticed a guy down the bar from me was talking to the 12-year-old bartender in English. I wasn't the type for talking to strangers in bars, but when it came to fluent English speakers in my life, I had a choice between him and Co, so I decided to take a chance. So back in town, I have 3 choices as to what to do. I can go with that UFLL mission from earlier, see if the APR have anything good that's new, or I can help out the South Mali underground, taking refugees out of the country in order to fill up my own medicine banks. Seems like that third option is the best thing to do, but those are the missions I'm not going to show you for now, just because they're always the same. So I'll get that done, and then next time, we'll make the decision about which faction we're going to work with next.